Since the pandemic began, airlines have been highlighting their cleaning protocols, the air filtration on their planes. But what about keeping that middle seat open? As part of an original CNBC documentary, Shepard Smith explores what airlines and airports are doing to convince travelers it's safe to fly.
On an airplane, no matter what you do, you cannot properly socially distance.
Sarah Nelson is the president of the Association of Flight Attendants.
Everybody loves the marketing slogan, "We keep the middle seat open." But let's face it, they would have loved that before coronavirus.
What clearing the middle seat does do is decrease the number of people on a plane, allowing the flight crew to move passengers around. A complex jigsaw puzzle, giving travelers more than the distance of just an armrest.
We recognize that there are some airlines who have put more planes back in the air to try to help with capacity and try to keep us from being completely full on these flights. And that's really what we need to do, is make sure that there's some sort of cap so that we don't have just every single seat full.
Do not miss Shepard Smith reports air travel in turmoil, 8 p.m. tonight on CNBC. And Shep joins us this morning with the news on that special report. Shep, it's great to have you.
Thanks, Carl.
We've had these airline executives come on and say the number of documented cases spread on a plane is de minimis for people who've traveled so far this year. I mean, how much faith do we put in that statistic?
We did a lot of research, and our documentary producers did as well, and the number is low. The key is the way they filter the air and all the rest. But let's face it, if you have somebody sitting next to you who pulls the mask up and sneezes, I mean, that's it. You know, the middle seat, they say it's a marketing slogan. It's more than that. We need some distance, and we know that. And we get through all those issues tonight. This really is about people, Carl. You know, it's about frontline workers who have to be there and whose lives have been upended by this. It's quite extraordinary.
Shep, you know, we had Ed Bastian on yesterday with us, CEO of Delta, talking about what Carl referenced, of course, these very low rates of transmission in airplanes. But the bigger question remains why you want to get on an airplane in the first place. I mean, heck, most people in the country can't even come to New York, and we certainly aren't allowed to go to Europe or anywhere else. So until that comes back, it's hard to imagine the industry has any real chance of coming back.
It is. You know, for now, it seems like there are a lot of frontline workers who are on it. There are doctors and nurses going from one place to another. Some people are traveling to weddings and doing things that the scientists would suggest would insist you should not do. But people are in the skies. The numbers have ticked up, and the airlines say that they're seeing their bookings, especially for Thanksgiving and then over the New Year's and Christmas holidays, that they're coming up. You know, there's some fatigue on coronavirus, and people are on the move.
You know, watching this video, Shep, from the dock, watching the planes being cleaned, it looks like the planes are actually cleaner than they were pre-pandemic these days. I'm wondering, when you've talked to all these people, you know, right now is a time when stimulus is being hammered out. What is the argument for the airline industry to get a second round of stimulus versus other industries?
Their argument is simple and it's immediate. We didn't do anything wrong. This isn't a time where the airlines mismanaged. They bought back too much stock. They didn't do things. It came to them. They are victims through no fault of their own. They're being laid off, and they can't pay the bills and feed their kids by the tens of thousands, and more are coming. And they're like, look, you want to lose this industry? You want to get down to 2 airlines because somebody will go bankrupt? If that's their argument, then just don't give us any help. You help out everyone, but help us too, because without the airline industry, that's 5% of GDP. We're in a lot of trouble without it.
Wow, that's an incredible number. You know, Shep, I'm always amazed. You know, the industry was so complex already. You got government regulation, unions, airline maintenance. It's capital intensive, and to layer this on top of all of that probably makes the most complicated industry that much more complicated.
It is, but they have such a great lobby from their perspective. You know, they make a lot of noise on Capitol Hill, and their point is, don't leave our people to fend for themselves when there are no more jobs. You know, I talked to flight attendants and cab drivers and everyone associated who said, you know, there was a time when you get furloughed. Well, you go find a job waiting tables or you go do this. There are none. There's nothing for them to do. And they're looking at, we planned, our mortgage is there, we didn't overspend, we didn't do anything wrong, and now we're just screwed, you know, and they're hurting.
Yeah, and Shep, we know often we hear from viewers who say, look, it's a business. If you run into trouble, raise some money, issue some debt, figure it out yourself. But in this country, we kind of think of jet service as a given, right? As something that we deserve in all communities. And to just have that yanked away feels wrong somehow.
As one flight attendant told me, and then we checked, and she's right, if every flight attendant in America on every airline gave up every penny and worked for free, they wouldn't begin to solve their money problems. It's just not like that. The industry went from full capacity right before COVID. We were at record highs at old LaGuardia Airport. And then they went down to 15%, and they haven't gotten much above that. By the way, remember LaGuardia? Whew, embarrassment to the world. Wait till you see the new LaGuardia Airport. I've traveled for decades. That's the most beautiful air terminal in America. I dare anyone to say otherwise. It's incredible. It's just empty.
Yes.
Can't wait to go.
So much for third world. We can't wait to get a look at that because a lot of us have just not been back in there since they finished that construction.
It's gleaming.
Shep, we can't wait.
Full of, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we can't wait to see that and the dock at large. We're all going to be watching. Shepard Smith reports air travel in turmoil tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here on CNBC.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.